Broadcasting from Now Media Network's headquarters in Houston, this is Purple Politics, hosted by political expert and commentator Alina Gonzalez Dockery. Join us to discuss the most important issues affecting our nation with fresh, balanced, and objective discussion on the first bilingual media network in the United States. Purple Politics starts right now.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Purple Politics. As we're entering the holiday season with Christmas just less than 2 weeks away, along with Hanukkah, I want to wish all of my viewers a very happy holiday. And speaking of hope and blessings, something incredible is happening. Hamas is conceding on Israeli troops remaining in Gaza, and this is raising the hopes of a hostage deal. So Hamas has shown unprecedented flexibility in indirect negotiations with Israel, facilitated by Egypt and Qatar with support from the U.S. Under sustained military pressure from Israel and facing challenges to its allies, Iran and Hezbollah, Hamas has agreed to two major Israeli demands. This development marks a significant shift in the dynamics of the conflict, as relayed by Arab mediators to the Wall Street Journal. One key Israeli demand that Hamas has accepted is the continued presence of Israeli military forces inside Gaza following a ceasefire. Additionally, Hamas has provided details about hostages in its captivity, including our own U.S. citizens, as part of a broader negotiation effort. These concessions represent a significant departure from Hamas's previous positions and are seen as a result of growing international mediation efforts. The mediators reveal that Hamas abducted 251 individuals during that October 7th attack, initiating this war between Israel and Hamas, with around 100 hostages still held in Gaza. Approximately 1/3 of these hostages are believed to be deceased. The list of hostages handed over by Hamas could pave the way for a potential ceasefire during which hostages would be released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. The ceasefire proposal, spearheaded by Egypt and supported by the United States, envisions a 60-day truce rather than a complete end to the war. During this period, hostages classified as humanitarian cases, including women, children, the elderly, and the sick, would be prioritized for release. This temporary agreement aims to create conditions that could make it difficult for Hamas to resume full-scale conflict. In exchange for these hostages, Israel would release an unspecified number of Palestinian prisoners and increase the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. The proposal also includes Israel retaining control over key areas such as the Philadelphia corridor along the Egypt-Gaza border and the Netzarim corridor, which effectively divides Gaza. Hamas has also agreed to relinquish control of the Rafah border crossing with Egypt. Now, many will say that this is because of the upcoming inauguration in January of the newly elected President-elect Trump. And let's face it, when the Orange Man starts blasting saying if hostages are not released by January 20th, there will be hell to paid, and even his number one negotiator under the first Trump administration stated that if they are not released, there will be conflict. The U.S. will retaliate. So is this because of we have the Orange Man returning? Some will say yes, some will say no. But one thing is for sure, this is an amazing blessing, especially as we're going into, it is 1 year and 2 months since these hostages were taken on that fateful day, that very horrific day of October 7th, 2022, or 2023, excuse me. So let us continue putting our prayers forward towards those hostages and the release of the hostages, and also that this ceasefire will allow the people of Gaza, the innocent families, to have relief as well. And continuing on the blessings and hope of the season greetings, Biden announces his largest single-day act of clemency in modern history. So Papa Joe, right after during the Thanksgiving holiday, went ahead and pardoned his son, not only for the two cases that he was convicted of the tax evasion conviction and the gun application conviction, but he gave a blanket pardon for 10 years of any bad acts his son may have done from the first moment he signed up for the board of barista, which of course many are saying is is unprecedented that someone would do such a broad range, and this is why there is so much criticism to Papa Joe pardoning his son. Though not a surprise that a father would pardon his son, it was the fact that the Democrats had placed so much of their righteous, their righteousness on the fact that preserving democracy is by the rule of law, and making Joe Biden and his White House press secretary, Jean-Claude Pierre, to say that he would not pardon Hunter as recently as November the 5th. But he is a father. But now President Joe Biden is announcing that he is commuting the sentences of approximately 1,500 people on home confinement and pardoning 39 individuals convicted of nonviolent crimes. The commutations apply to those who have served at least 1 year in home confinement, a measure initially taken to curb the spread of COVID-19 in prisons, where the virus hit particularly hard. Biden emphasized the importance of granting second chances and addressing sentencing disparities for nonviolent offenders. The president's statement highlighted his administration's commitment to rehabilitation and reintegration into society. Among those pardoned are individuals who have made significant contributions to their communities, including emergency response leaders, youth counselors, and veterans. These actions build upon previous clemency measures, such as pardoning those convicted of marijuana possession and military members penalized under outdated laws against consensual gay relationships. This clemency decision also comes in the wake of Biden's pardoning of his son, and the move has sparked criticism and calls for broader acts of clemency, such as commuting the sentences of federal death row inmates. Despite campaigning on a promise to end the federal death penalty, Biden has not fulfilled this pledge. Pardon. And with Trump's return to office, federal executions are expected to resume. Biden is also rumored to be considering pardoning for non-crimes, but providing large-scale swaths of pardons for 10-year period or longer to those such as Elizabeth Cheney and others. Whew. Pardon. And as criticism really liked by both the right and the left is anyone really surprised about Hunter being pardoned? Absolutely not. We knew this was going to come along. It was most likely going to be done if Kamala had won, but this is it. Now, some people say that Biden should actually do a huge olive branch and pardon former president and President-elect Trump. Now, that would be something noteworthy. And as the criticism steep on Biden, another criticism is that the question by especially the progressive left is Biden ceding his presidential influence to Trump. Because unlike other soon-to-be president-elects who do meet with world leaders and start looking at the transition and getting to know the political landscape of world politics, we have an unusual circumstance. We have President Trump, who was president between the years of 2017 through January 20th of 2021. And so he's coming out, and he came out in grand style at the grand reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, attended by numerous global leaders, to include Prince William of England. And this marks an incredible move by President Macron of France, inviting not only the First Lady, and yes, President Biden was invited, but he had other commitments that he had to deal with, which one, these hostage negotiations. Jill Biden was in attendance, and he did put out the proverbial olive branch by inviting President-elect Trump. Biden, absent from the event, appears increasingly sidelined, facing criticism over his age, political relevance, and controversial pardon of his son. Meanwhile, Trump, he's seizing all of the attention. He is making waves. I mean, to the point that you have, the Prime Minister of Canada flying down, meeting with world leaders at Mar-a-Lago and negotiating tariffs and securing the border with the president of Mexico. And Trump's proactive engagement is creating a shadow over Biden. However, he is known. People want to make sure they're on the good side of President Trump. He already has the wherewithal of what's going on. And as he even stated, he was probably one of those that was surprised that he won in 2016, and he did not know what he was really doing. Now he does, and he is striking early, so that when he is sworn in as president, his administration, his cabinet are ready to run. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to go further into what Trump's supporters and deployments of European troops in Ukraine would look like. Tune right back in.